American, looks like here we go again. See the world through the eyes of little boys or men, through the eyes of a little girl who's driven by her fear, or a woman who's found wisdom through her tears. Hey American, some will go to any length to show the world what they believe to be their greatest strength. They wave a flag and shout outrageous rage, too loudly to ignore our greatest weakness that we've all seen before. Turn away or take a closer look, 'cause time goes by so fast, and that's you in the mirror of our past. Hey, American.
9/11, 10 years later, and $1.5 trillion spent, 2 wars, hundreds of thousands of people killed in Iraq and Afghanistan, beside the almost 3,000 American who were killed during 9/11. Civil liberty, racial profiling, singling out Arab Americans and Muslim Americans. Even shopping malls have become security agent for our FBI, and Arab American not even accepted as consumer. With all this hoopla, and I decided to spend the 10th anniversary of 9/11, not so much in the past but in the future. So I went to see a play that talks about 9/11, the future. What would happen if another attack took place? What would happen to Arab Americans? What would it be like? So I went to a local theater here, Pangea, here in East Lake Street, and I saw there a play. Zafira, the olive oil warrior, the superhuman, the supernature. This time she is a woman, not a man. And that play is written by Kathy Haddad and directed by Dipankar Mukherjee at Pangea World Theater here in the Twin Cities, in East Lake Street. And the play talks about a scenario of what would happen to Arab Americans if there is another attack similar to 9/11. Would they go through the same what the Japanese American went through in World War II, an internment? And it's kind of going through the psychology and sociology and the possibility of such an attack. And you can tell the play is almost self-portrait of Kathy Haddad as a Christian Arab, a teacher, all this coming out. After the play, people stayed, and there was a discussion led by Professor Khaldun of McAllister, talking to the cast, the director, and the playwright.
And I do think there are political forces in this country, as there are in all countries, that have political projects in mind, and they want to narrate certain events in particular ways to mobilize the population politically, right? And I don't think it's just the most racist bigots out there. It's not just the Quran burners. In fact, I would say they're the marginal actors in this. I do think that those who want to create Islamophobia and fear of Muslims and Arabs in this country understand that in order to mobilize a large sector of American population, they can't just use Quran burners. They have to also incite a certain kind of liberal, progressive discourse, especially against Muslim men and Arab American men.
Then comes Kathy Haddad, the star of the evening, the playwright, and she talked about the play, the process of writing it, the idea, how did that come about, and elaborated on how difficult it is to have such a play for an Arab American.
I knew that I've been a playwright for many years, and people know me as kind of a community organizer, but I've always loved to write and been a playwright. And so my goal when I resigned from that position was I was going to write a play. I had that in my mind. I want to write a play. But I wanted to find the right vehicle. And I guess one moment I can point to what really inspired this play was a documentary that I was watching on PBS about the internment camps, the Japanese internment camps. About what we might imagine if such a scenario will come to place. And found out in my initial research that such a thing had been proposed actually by John Ashcroft after, I think in 2002 or something like that, and there was a lot of discussion about it, and he actually even planned.
But I had respected Kathy's work. This is not the first time I've directed her plays. I've directed her workshop that we had years ago when I had first come to Minneapolis, and she's fearless about the issues. She's absolutely fearless, because staying sometimes in North America, all your politics, your canines gradually, get sandpapered down. And
the first things that you hear me say are not inventions of Kathy Haddad. They are word-for-word quotes with Arab and Muslim substituted for Japanese.
And that was like a big bonus for me, that this is the story that I'm going to be doing too, and I'm going to be acting too.
A stage of the process with all these faces here and all these faces here, and that were here before. This play has meant a lot to me, and getting to know everyone and getting to learn so much. So thank you.
I did Rima, the old Palestinian woman.
I had been living in Algeria on and off for the past 3 years. So I've known Kathy since 2005, and I've crossed paths with Dipankar a few times when I was here. So I auditioned via the futuristic way, which is the internet.
I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with, and coincidentally, I quit my job as a school teacher. I taught middle school for 2 years, and so I had all this free time this fall.
That growing up in the United States in this education system, you don't see yourself, your opinions, your perspective reflected in anything, nothing,
And I knew about the development of the piece thanks to Facebook.
Something though, I'm pregnant and I'm showing, is this going to be a problem? And he said, your character is pregnant.
So I knew Kathy was cooking something up, and I didn't quite know what it was.
I'm originally from Palestine, from Jerusalem. I came here 20 years ago, and it kind of relates to me and what I see on the daily life of the Palestinians and what they have to go through. So
It's horrifying, and to the point that a couple of people have made about could this happen again.
Very glad I did.
My name is...
This is it!
It was a great way to spend the 10th anniversary of 9/11 and look deeper at the lessons that we should learn or have learned in the last 10 years, and bring a group of Arab Americans to reflect and tell their own stories. And instead of the artificial flag waving and building on bringing people together to understand the 9/11 lessons.
American, looks like here we go again. See the world through the eyes of little boys or men, through the eyes of a little girl who's driven by her fear, or a woman who's found wisdom through her tears. Hey American, some will go to any length to show the world what they believe to be their greatest strength. They wave a flag and shout outrageous rage, too loudly to ignore our greatest weakness that we've all seen before. Turn away or take a closer look, 'cause time goes by so fast, and that's you in the mirror of our past. Hey American, do you think you'll ever learn? It's only